guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you guys are back for a brand new video this week. This week we're going to be making chuletas in salsa verde, also known as pork chop ends, and green sauce, tomatillo sauce. It's a very easy, simple recipe, very authentic. I'm going to accompany this with a side of white rice, but you can also accompany with the side of black beans, refried beans, or whole beans. It's up to you. But before we get started with today's video, I just want to thank you guys for subscribing to this channel. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends if you loved it. Leave a comment down below, it really helps me out a lot spreading out my videos. So for this recipe, there isn't much ingredients to this, so let's get started. We're going to be needing 2 tomatoes, about 10 small tomatillos, 2 large potatoes, a little bunch of cilantro, a little less than half of an onion, a pinch of salt, 2 garlic cloves, 3 serranos. I'm going to be using about 1.5 pounds of pork chop ends. For this video, you're going to have the option of using chicken flavor bouillon and cumin. We're going to start off by washing our meat, and after that, I'm going to be removing most of the fat from here. Just because you guys know me, I try to do my food as healthy as I can, and also making the pork chops a little bit smaller on the size. But you guys can do whatever you want. You can leave the fat in there, and as big or small as you want. This recipe can really be made with any kind of meat that you want. You can do chicken, pork, beef, or just potatoes by themselves. If you want to try something different for breakfast, you can do potatoes by themselves in this style with the side of eggs. That would be perfect. Once we have all of our meat chopped up, we're going to be adding it to a pan. On that pan, we're going to be adding a little bit of salt, covering the pan and bringing it to the stove on medium heat to cook. While our meat is cooking, we're going to be starting with our potatoes. Peeling your potatoes is optional, but I'm going to be peeling mine. My mom always says that the skin has a lot of vitamins and nutrients in it. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I always like a clean potato, so it's optional depending. Different people like to keep it or remove it. Once I'm done peeling my potato, I'm going to start off by cutting them. I'm going to be cutting them on a bigger size just because you're going to be putting them on the green sauce, and our sauce is going to be very liquidy, and with the steam it might dissolve very fast. So if you have it on big chunks, it's going to be a little harder for them to dissolve, but it's up to you however big or small you want them to be. I have also seen my tia make this recipe, and she would just slice the potatoes like in circles. Once we have all our potatoes ready, we're going to go ahead and move on with the salsa. For our salsa, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to asar los tomates. I wouldn't know exactly how you would say it in English, but it's pretty much just roasting the tomatoes and the tomatillos, giving it this like a dark color around the skin. Now you guys know I have an electric stove, and my electric stove, for some reason, it takes forever to roast my tomatillos, my poblanos, anything that I want to roast on it. It doesn't even work if I put it on a comal. It just takes a really long time. So I've discovered that if I put it on a pot, everything together, my tomatoes, my tomatillos, and my serranos, and then covering this and putting it on the stove on medium heat. I don't add anything to this, it's just the straight up vegetables in there to make the salsa. And as you can see at the very bottom, it kind of gives it that roasting color on there. And also my tomatillos are very soft. They are fully cooked at this time, and it also gives it that flavor. On a blender, I'm going to be adding the little bunch of cilantro, 1/4 of a white onion, my 2 garlic cloves, and I'm going to start to put in my tomatillos, my tomatoes, and my serranos in here. I'm also going to be adding 1.5 cups of water. I'm going to cover this and I'm going to blend it for about 3 minutes. While my salsa is blending, I'm going to check on my pork meat. As you can see, my pork meat has a little bit of water in here. I did not add this water in here. This water was released from the meat. We are going to wait till this water dissolves so we can start frying up our pork ends. Once this water is dissolved, you're going to know that your pork chops are ready to be fried. We're going to cover this up again until the water is completely dissolved. Once you start to hear some sizzling coming out of your pot, we're going to uncover this. And as you can see, all the water has evaporated. And all that's left in here is just the pork meat with a little bit of the fat that we left in there. And that's what's going to be frying our pork chops. We want that nice and golden color on our pork chops. But I did notice that I did remove a lot of the fat. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of vegetable oil just to help my pork chops fry a little bit more. Once you see that your pork chops have this golden brown all over them, I'm going to remove them from the pot, and I'm going to be placing them on a plate. On that same pot that it still has a little bit of oil, I'm going to be adding my potatoes. I'm going to fry my potatoes here for about 5 minutes until Same thing, they get a golden brown color. Halfway there, I'm going to be adding 1/4 of an onion diced, just so we can saute that and it can give it a little bit of the flavor on there as well. We're going to continue frying this until our onion is caramelized. Once that is ready, we're going to be adding our sauce that we blended previously. As you can see, it's more like a green sauce. The tomatoes didn't really leave that red in there just because we added the cilantro and the tomatillos. It was too much green, but it's okay. What we want is the flavor of the tomatoes anyways. I have made this recipe before where the tomatoes had a little bit more of a redder color on here, so it looked more like a dark green color. Once we added our sauce here, we're gonna add our pork chops now. If you remember at the beginning, we seasoned our pork chops with salt. Now you may have added a lot of salt, or you may have added a little salt depending on you, but what I like to do is I like to mix my food together so all the salt can get out of the pork chops and into the sauce and the potatoes. And then from there, once it's fully cooked, see if it needs more salt or not. We're gonna cover our pork chops completely, and we're gonna cover this and let it boil here for about 10 minutes on medium to low heat. 10 minutes later, and we're gonna check on our pork chops. Our pork chops should already be fully cooked. What we're looking for is for the potatoes to finish cooking and for our pork chops to release the salt that it had in there into the sauce and into our potatoes. I checked for salt and mine was missing a little bit of salt. So instead of adding more salt, I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of chicken flavor bouillon and a little bit of cumin. Now these steps are going to be optional to you. We're going to mix this very good. Let the salt dissolve the chicken flavor bouillon. We're going to cover this up again and we're going to check here in about 3 minutes. Here I'm cooking a little bit of white rice. I have a video on how to make this recipe, so I'm going to leave it on the link down below. 3 minutes later, we're going to check back on our pork chops. The way to know if your potatoes are fully cooked or not is you're going to grab one, and with the toothpick, we're going to insert it at the middle. If it slides in very easily, that means it's ready. If it doesn't and it still needs time to cook, but do remember that if you're going to be covering this and if you're going to be letting it sit for later, the steam is going to continue cooking your potatoes. So you don't want it too soft, or else the steam is going to completely dissolve your potatoes. It's going to kind of turn into mashed potatoes. So you don't want them very soft if you're going to be eating this for later, or if you're going to be letting these sit in the steam. What you can do if you did overcook your potatoes is just uncover your pot, don't cover it back, and eat it right away. What this does is it's gonna let your food cool down, and it's not gonna continue the cooking process with the steam. And this is the end result for our recipe. Some nice pork chops with green sauce and potatoes with a side of white rice. I didn't have any vegetables, so I didn't add any vegetables to my rice, but you can also add some frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, or just fresh vegetables as well to your rice. It gives it this nice pop of color, and it's also another way to get some vegetables in you. Don't forget, if you like this recipe, give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Share with your friends if you loved it. Comment down below what other recipes you would want me to make next. Any comments or suggestions on the videos, leave a comment down below as well, and I will reply to you back with another comment answering your question. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can be part of our family and you can get notified every time that we upload a new video. I hope you guys have a great week or weekend depending on the day you're watching this, and we'll see you next week with a brand new recipe. Bye!